So in last night's game plan, I made it very, very clear if the SPY gaps up, it's likely going to be a gap and go for a strong bullish close. So continue to focus on buying call options when the SPY breaks above a resistance level, drops back down to retest, look for the 30-minute confirmations. With that being said, my first trade on the day was a phenomenal win on call options. We ended up absolutely crushing the market once again. I'm going to be breaking down the overall trades that we made towards the end of this video. First things first, we're going to get into the new money making game plan. So in terms of what I'm seeing on the daily chart, this is the closest pattern that I can find. You can see right here, we have this green bullish candlestick facing to the upside. We have this green bullish candlestick facing to the upside. The next day, we have a gap up. The next day, we have a gap up. If you look at the second daily candlestick right here, it looks identical. So in terms of the levels heading into tomorrow, this is what I want you to be aware of. The previous day highs and the previous day lows. That is going to be the overall best range to trade, especially if we are opening up flat. If we're just having a very tiny gap up or a very tiny gap down or just opening up flat, then the main play is going to be focusing on, like I said, the previous day highs and the previous day lows, right? So that's what I'm seeing based off the daily chart pattern. So this is going to be extremely simple. If we're opening up flat, then the previous day highs are going to be extremely important. So in terms of the game plan, if we're opening up flat, I need you to keep an eye on the previous day highs. If we are seeing bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, a bearish 30-minute pattern, a lot of resistance, right? Say there's multiple bearish 30-minute candlesticks in a row, right? If it's failing to break above the previous day highs, and we are sitting around this range, the range would be, this 596.60 to 596, right? If we're just reacting bearish throughout that overall resistance zone, the play is going to be puts. But I need you to be extremely meticulous with the confirmations because puts have been getting destroyed for multiple days. All we've been doing is buying call options and banking, right? So be extremely careful with the puts. And another thing you need to be aware of is even if it does top out at the previous day highs, the overall trend can still maintain bearish because in terms of this pattern, you can see right here, it did end up topping towards the previous day highs, but it ends up bottoming towards the previous day lows and it closed very, very strong at the highs, right? So if we're opening up flat, if we're not really gapping up, you can keep an eye on previous day highs. If it's reacting bearish, use strong bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations. If you get the confirmations, you can try puts towards the previous day highs, right? Now, in terms of the levels for calls, we're going to have two levels. So the best level for calls would be the previous day lows right here at this 593 level. The daily chart pattern shows that if we're opening up flat, it's going to try to bottom towards the previous day lows. Another reason why this is a special level is because this is a gap breakdown level. So in terms of a gap breakdown level, you could see right here, if we drop below 593, there is no support and it's going to start to fill the gap, right? So it's probably going to bounce first at 593. This is going to be a key level for calls. Typically, when they hit the gap breakdown level, it tends to bounce first, especially within this overall very bullish market that has been rewarding dip buying opportunities with that overall breakout and retest strategy that I've been teaching you, right? So 593 to 593.50 would be your best level for calls. The level below that for calls is going to be the gap. There's a gap to fill at 591. The SPY has been consistently reversing at all of the gaps throughout the past 30 days. Continue to use the gap reversal strategy at 591. So those are going to be the overall game plans, man. We're keeping the levels extremely simple. Previous day highs, the gap breakdown, previous day lows, and then the gap reversal, right? But you really need to focus on that overall range in terms of tomorrow. Just keep it simple. Focus on the previous day highs, focus on the previous day lows, and your middle level, that's kind of like make or break, is this like 594. You got your previous closing price at 595.61. But I'm mainly just focused on previous day highs and previous day lows headed into tomorrow. So it's going to be a fairly simple day. Now, if the SPY does end up having a big gap up, if it were to have another big gap up, then I would keep a very close eye on 594 and 595.60 if it does have a big gap up. If the SPY is a big gap down, you can try to buy puts at 595.61. In terms of the overall gap range for like a big gap down and a big gap up in current market conditions, ideally 2 points. 2 points above 595.61 or 2 points below 595.61, right? And you can look to play gap reversals, right? So if we are gapping down, we could potentially bounce at 593 and then reverse at 595.61 to 596.60 previous day highs. If we are gapping up, keep an eye on a potential gap reversal towards 595 to 594 zone. So those would be the overall plans if we aren't opening up flat and if we're having big gap ups or big gap downs, right? So that's the game plan for SPY. We're keeping it super simple in terms of the overall daily chart pattern, right? Some days it's going to be more advanced, and then other days is going to be extremely simple. And if we are gapping up, man, just keep an eye on that breakout and retest strategy. If we're having like a nice gap up, if we're maintaining and forming support above this like 595.60 to 596.65 zone, only if we're having that massive gap up, you can look for a dip buying opportunity on calls for the breakout and retest. Because if it does have a gap up, it's going to try to have a gap and go and continue to run. It's going to try to reverse the gaps, use strong bullish 30-minute candlestick confirmations if we are having a massive gap up. So I explained to you the overall game plan if we're opening up flat, and I explained to you the overall game plans if we're having a big gap up or a big gap down. Use these levels along with the information that I provided with in terms of, what it decides to do heading into the pre-market tomorrow. It should be a fairly simple day. Tomorrow should be an extremely simple day, and we should absolutely crush it once again. With that being said, you guys need to be aware that we're going to have plenty of stocks that are going to have their 0-date options. Tomorrow it's going to be 0 dates. They're going to be expiring tomorrow. So it's going to be a crazy day, man. I already have a lot of plays on my radar. I'm not going to be disclosing them within this video. For those of you who are inside of Team Roar, we're going to absolutely crush it, man. The market, it's on absolute fucking fire. Like I said, this is going to be a historic Friday to be trading within the overall market. The volatility is absolutely fucking insane. Stocks are moving fucking crazy. And we got the 0-date options expiring heading into tomorrow on all these lucrative stocks, right? So tomorrow's going to be the day where we can potentially make a 500%, a 1000% plus gainer because the opportunities are there, the plays are there, the setups are there. I got a couple on my watch list right here. There's more. Like I said, I'm not going to be disclosing them within this overall video. But throughout the entire day, we're going to be very, very focused on not just trading SPY, but trading stocks. So we mainly trade SPY, right? That's the main ticker that we always trade and master. And then in terms of the strategies, we mainly use those on stocks on Thursday and Fridays, right? But we mainly trade SPY, but on Fridays, there tends to be phenomenal opportunities on stocks with the strategies, and that's when they have their 0 dates. So, I'm willing to trade an amazing setup if I see it. And then with the scanners that I have, there's going to be new stocks that pop up as well. So I'm telling you, it's going to be a historical day tomorrow. The volatility is here. The market's fucking on fire. There's so many big fucking runners. It's going to be crazy, man. This is going to be the most lucrative Friday to be trading 0-date options on stocks. I'm telling you, man. So with that being said, I got the perfect game plan on those. Not going to be going over that. But in terms of the trades, let's get into this, man. I'm going to be breaking down my trades towards the end of this video. Let's start off with the trades that we made in terms of the morning trading session. So for those of you who are in Team Roar, you are well aware, these are like the best morning trades that you can get access to, man. Who the fuck do you know is doing this? Look at this, man. Who prints like us? Look at this. We ended up buying SPY 596 calls for 68 cents at market open. What did I tell you in last night's video? I made it very, very clear that if we gap up, the SPY is going to have a gap and go and try to close strong at the highs. At market open, we're buying calls. We're in 596 SPY calls for 68 cents a contract. And we're also in Tesla calls, 305 Tesla calls for 82 cents a contract, man. I'm telling you, in terms of the morning trades, you can literally join this program. Nearly every single morning is green, and you can call within the first 30 minutes, making the biggest percentage gains within the market with the cheapest, lowest risk barrier to entry. Look at this, man. So adding to the fucking trades, man, because you know us, we like to add to the winners to multiply the overall gains, right? And then in terms of the overall exits, as you can see right here, man, we ended up selling at 143 cents. So we ended up getting out at Tesla at 143 cents. Everything is alerted in 100% real time in terms of everything it is that we're doing. And in terms of the entry, like I said, 82 cents, right? So nearly a 100% profit return in 30 minutes on that trade. And then in terms of the SPY calls, as you can see right here, SPY calls, we ended up getting out in the range of mid 90s to 100 cents. They were up over 30 cents a contract. Now, in terms of the next trade, we ended up getting in SPY 593 puts for 69 cents a contract. So in terms of this overall trade, it went from 69 cents very, very quickly to 86 cents. And then in terms of the next trade, 594 SPY puts for 86 cents a contract. In this particular trade, at the speed of fucking light, went from 86 cents to 110 cents. Puts were up 24%. Puts were up 24 cents. Our members are well aware to be setting profit stops when they're up about 25, 30%, to always be selling the moves, locking in the overall profits. And then we had a 100% gainer during the power hour trading session at 9:50 p.m. 597 SPX puts for 130 cents a contract, ended up going to 265 cents. With that being said, man, in terms of the trades that I ended up making on my own personal trades, I waited until literally right before power hour. I waited until the market was on fire, so the volatility was there, which was towards that 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. mark. So I ended up getting in on these SPY 595 calls at 83 cents. When GROAR was in puts and locking in overall gains, I ended up buying calls, man. It was like yin and yang. We fucking both banked in this situation, man. The puts banked, they went up nearly 30 cents. And then the calls banked, they went up over 100 cents, man. Back to back, phenomenal wins. We played it fucking perfectly. So in terms of this situation, I ended up buying SPY 595 calls at 83 cents. 10 minutes into the opening of that 2:30 p.m. 30-minute candlestick, right? So at 2:40 p.m., why did I decide to do that? And then I ended up averaging my cost down. So I added it 65 cents, and that brought my average down to 76 cents on this overall trade. And the calls fucking banked. We were buying towards the lows, and we were adding at the exact fucking lows. And in this particular situation, the calls went to 180 a contract. They went up over 100 cents a contract. Now, in terms of the reasoning behind this trade, this was the first trade that I overall made in terms of my own personal trade. This was the first one that I made on the overall day, right? With that being said, why did I decide to buy call options on the SPY on the opening of this 30-minute candlestick? So on this 30-minute candlestick right here, this is where I decided to buy those SPY calls. In terms of the reasoning behind this trade, it had to do with the 30-minute chart, and it also had to do with the thesis yesterday. I told you very, very clear in terms of my thesis, if the SPY gaps up, it's going to try to have a gap and go and close strong at highs, which means I'm going to be focused on buying oversold dips. That's why I was averaging my cost down. I saw it as a gift because the overall trend within the market was bullish. So the reasoning was last night's video and also the 30-minute chart. So I looked at the 30-minute pattern and I noticed there was these two trend reversal 30-minute candlesticks, right? So I went back throughout the chart history and I've been studying how the SPY normally reacts when it forms that overall pattern. You can also keep in mind right here, there was some resistance at 594.20 in the morning for about an hour. The SPY had a break above the resistance, drop back down, breakout and retest, reacted as support, reacted as support, reacted as support. It's forming higher support for over an hour straight with these fucking dojis at the previous resistance. And I told you the SPY is going to have a gap and go and try to close strong at the highs, right? So again, just more reasonings in terms of buying the overall calls, the breakout and retest. But in terms of the pattern, it had a lot to do with the pattern as well, not just the floor at the new previous resistance right here, right? But in terms of the overall pattern that I was seeing on the 30-minute chart, if you take a look, you're going to see right here, oh, there's these two trend reversal pins. And the next 30-minute candlestick is green and bullish. It ends up closing very strong and bullish. Where did that next 30-minute candlestick bottom? It bottomed slightly above the previous 30-minute lows, which is why I was taking starter positions. And then if it were to drop back towards the previous 30-minute lows, which it did, I'm going to average my cost in. History repeats itself to a similar cycle, but in terms of this pattern, you could see if you compared it to what I just showed you, that pattern right there is identical, and the next 30 minutes closed strong green and bullish, right? So, just looking at that simple 30-minute chart pattern, I was able to buy those calls towards the exact lows, right? You have the two trend reversal red candles right there. You have the two trend reversal red candles right there. Next 30 minutes is strong green and bullish. So you want to buy towards the previous 30-minute lows. It had a nice little dip last time, buy towards those lows, ended up buying towards those lows, right? So that's how I was able to make that trade. As you can tell, it wasn't just that 30-minute pattern. I used every stack that I can in terms of my favor. I used last night's game plan as a stack that I was going to close strong and bullish. I used the breakout and retest simply by identifying that there was some resistance in here for about an hour in the morning towards this 594. We had a break above resistance. The SPY dropped back down. It formed a floor for an hour. And then this trend reversal pattern. That trade was one of the best trades that you could have made on call options. And that was the first trade that I decided to learn in terms of my own personal trades on the day, giving you the best setup possible. Reflecting on last night's video, simply understanding that if it gaps up, strong bullish close, gap and go, that's the stack, that's the foundation. Then we had the break and retest. I told you in last night's video, I'm going to use the break and retest. We had a strong break above this resistance right here. SPY dropped back down to retest this previous resistance right here. It formed support for an hour, right? When that happens, it's going to try to retest the highs, break above the highs, try to turn that previous high into new support, right? And then in terms of the confirmation, it was the 30-minute trend reversal, 30-minute trend reversal, 30-minute trend reversal, 30-minute trend reversal. The foundation was last night's video with the gap and go. And then the foundation was the breakout and retest strategy. It's like, dude, there's levels to this fucking game. Do you understand how competent, how disciplined, how self-control you have to be to wait for the entire day for the perfect setup to come along, right? In terms of my own personal trading, you guys know I prefer to not trade in the morning in terms of my own personal trades. I like to wait. And in terms of waiting, I could not have gotten in on a better trade. I literally bought those calls towards the exact fucking lows. And this was the most massive 30-minute candlestick on the fucking day, man. Right? We had, the FOMC and, all that, right? So there was just so many reasons to be in calls within this overall bullish market, man. But like I said, man, you truly have to be disciplined to just wait for everything to play out. You don't have to be the first one to catch a trend and buy calls right here. You can be the last one to catch a trend and make bigger percentage gains on everybody else and buy cheaper contracts than everybody else. And you could do it within 30 minutes, within an hour and a half, trading towards that power hour time, right? So like I said, man, there's levels to this shit. So in terms of you, I taught you the strategies, I gave you the foundation, I taught you to break and retest. I tell you, look for the 30-minute patterns. So, I would hope that at least some people watching last night's video saw the same thing that I saw and took those call options, because, you should have been able to be self-sufficient in that sense and buy those fucking calls, man. Like I said, it takes a lot of fucking discipline to get out this overall level. We had the foundation of last night's video, we had the breakout and retest, and we had the 30-minute pattern. What more do you want? You want me to add on some fucking indicator or some other fucking thing? Like, this works. I have a system that works. This prints money non-fucking stop. That was my first trade on the overall day. So we absolutely crushed it. That was the whole fucking story behind that trade. And I would hope that at least some of you saw in terms of what it is, that I saw. Because I tell you have to look for 30-minute trend reversal patterns throughout the 10-day, 30-minute chart. I gave you the foundation in last night's video, and I told you to break out and retest strategy. This is all fairly simple, but what's not simple is being disciplined enough and having self-control to wait to trade that best setup at that best price, which is exactly what we ended up doing. So for those of you who ended up taking that trade on calls, big shout out to you, because that was truly the best trade that you could have made on the overall day. With that being said, for those of you who are serious about trading alongside with us, it's the first link down below within the description. I'm telling you, we have many members who absolutely love our community. We have a new member. He just made nearly $1,000. As you can see right here, a 256% profit return on these Tesla calls. Like I said, man, in terms of Team Roar, you're going to see this is the biggest percentage gains you're ever going to be able to make within the market. We've mastered this. There's no other team on this fucking level. This is the highest level within trading, to be buying cheap, far out of the money option contracts, very low risk, extremely low barrier to entry. We're known for selling them deep in the money for the biggest percentage gains within the market. And we have a system that we've created with this overall zero date option strategy. So the contracts are so cheap, the lowest barrier option to be trading, right? Going far the money, that we could put in our entire position size into these trades. We can put in our entire position size as our max risk per trade. So say you're risking like 2%, 3% of your account. The contracts are so fucking cheap. We could put in our entire position size as our max risk per trade. So since we're not putting in a lot of money into the trade, how are we able to make such big gains? We're able to make such big gains because we're holding the trades for longer periods of time. We're getting in at the best entries possible, and we're selling in the money, and we're making the biggest percentage gains. The dollar gains are big, and they are coming from the percentage gains. And our max risk per trade is our entire position size. Meaning, since that's true, we don't need a stop loss. If our entire risk in the trade is our entire position size, we don't need to set a stop loss. I've been in many trades where they drop 30, 40, 50%. They come back to life. They go in the money. They're up 100%. But if I had that stop loss on, I would have had a loss and I would have been stopped out before my max risk per trade. So if anything, you can remove your stop loss and you could sell the moves if you want. If you're down 30 to 50% and it doesn't make sense to hold, you're not seeing the confirmation, it makes no absolute sense, then fine, cut the trade. But in terms of when we decide to hold and not sell for a loss, in that particular situation, 50%, 70% of the time, 70% of the time, the dead plays come back to life and they go in the money. And another thing we do differently is we set profit stops. So in terms of trading, we don't set stop losses, but we do set profit stops. The reason why we set profit stops is when you are green on a trade and you set a profit stop, it ensures that you do not go green to red. It is impossible to go red on a trade that you are green on if you set a profit stop, right? And the reason why we move the profit stop up as the trade is working out in our favor is to ensure that if the market has a big move against our trade, we're going to get stopped out for the bulk of the profits and not give back the vast majority. And in terms of the way that we choose to increase our wins, we mainly focus on adding to wins. When we're up a little bit, 5, 10, 20%, we like to add to wins if we're seeing a winning confirmation because our wins tend to be the biggest within the market, right? So with that being said, to increase the fucking winnings, we add to fucking wins to protect the new average cost. We set the profit stop, one small move within our favor. That risk management is going to protect the bigger wins. So that's just some basics to the overall system. We are known for just trading SPY. We trade 0 dates on SPY every single fucking day. Usually there's a couple trades every single day, ranging from like 2 to 4. Sometimes if there's plenty of trades, we can get up to like 5 to 6. Other days, there's only going to be 1 or 2 trades. But with that being said, we are focused on trading the best setups at the best prices. The way that we define that over here is very simple. The best setup at the best price is very, very simple. It is something that is cheap. It is something that is low risk. It is something that yields you the biggest percentage gains within the market. So we are simply dissecting the overall trades within the market that are going to yield you the biggest percentage gains. And in terms of what we're buying the cheapest, lowest risk asset class that has allowed us to remove our stop loss, that has allowed us to put in our entire position size as our max risk per trade and still make great dollar gains because the percentage gains are so big. Now, obviously, if you have a smaller account, the dollar gains aren't going to be as massive, but when you have a small account and if you choose to trade, it's more about gaining experience within the market. It's more about learning, and it's more about compounding your account percentage-wise and not making dollar gains at first. Once your account is more medium size in that 5-figure to 6-figure range to larger account, right? Then you don't have to focus on compounding your account percentage-wise, and you could focus more on those dollar gains and making smaller percentage gains on your overall account size, right? So this is the best way to get started within the overall market. This is the best possible strategy that you can possibly master within the market in terms of trading with real money. There's nothing better that you can do in terms of trading than trading far the money option contracts. You know, if you trade the chart, if you trade price action, what better than mastering this? This is the best system you can possibly master. Extremely cheap, extremely low risk, biggest percentage gains within the market. And in terms of the system, you know, options give you options. Far out of the money options give you the most options. If you trade far out of the money options, you're going to have the most options within the market. You're going to have options to remove your stop loss, and you're able to remove your stop loss because your entire position size is your max risk per trade, which means you can afford to lose everything you put into the trade. Therefore, you don't need a stop loss. Like I said, if you like, you can sell the moves, right? And in terms of another cutting edge, part of far the money options, very, very simple. If we buy something that's far the money and we're down 50% and we're not stopped out, we can hold the entire day and it can go on the money and we can make gains, right? We're able to hold. These traders who don't hold, they size in big and they use tight stop loss and they tell themselves small gains add up. Nope. If you have a smaller to medium sized account, you're not going to get anywhere with that. That's only for people who have larger accounts. With this overall trading strategy, it's for everyone. And rich people prefer to use this trading strategy because, like I said, in terms of mastering the overall market, rich people prefer to pay less on their premiums, on their contracts, and yield the biggest percentage gains and the biggest rewards within the market. If we buy in the money option contracts, we're going to risk more, right? We're going to risk more to make less, which makes no fucking sense. Why am I risking more to make less? If you do that, you're probably using a stop loss as well, and you're probably selling for small wins because you have no idea what the fuck you're doing, right? So like I said, man, the bar is up here, and we're the fucking bar. We're the greatest to ever fucking do this, man. We got 2 multimillionaires in here, and they're alerting all their trades within real time. We have other millionaires. They don't say a word. They just follow the trades. Not everyone likes to use the overall community. But like I said, man, we got many of successful traders within here making $500 a day, making $1,000 a day. Some of them are making 5 figures a week. We got Uncle Tio making over 6 figures a month, man. He's been absolutely fucking crushing it in terms of his options trades, man. So like I said, if you want to surround yourself with a secured private organization in a very positive community who's serious about making money and who is serious about mastering this overall trade alert system, is the first link down below within the description. I can assure you, if you join this community, you're going to absolutely love it. And I'm telling you, we're going to do everything we can within our power to make you money. Because that's what we're focused on, man. We're focused on making other people money. We're good at what we do. We're the best at what we do. And that's what we want to do, man. We want to help make other people money. So with that being said, it's the first link down below within the description if you would like to join us. In terms of Uncle Tio, man, he had a crazy fucking swing trade that he had called out, man. He called out these Zillow calls at 72.5 strike. The fucking trade's up over 136%. Like I said, man, we have many, many wins within here. You're not going to be able to find anything else like there within the community. You're not going to be able to find anything else out there like this, man. I'm telling you. This is the one. Like there's nothing like this overall community, man. So if you do want to join us, it's the first link down below within the description. You will gain access to 0-day options trade alerts every single day. You will gain access to the alert system, right? We make it very, very clear in terms of when to set profit stops, when to add to winners, right? We disclose everything. So it's the first link down below within the description if you are serious about making money. I'm telling you, in terms of Fridays, man, you guys know every single day is our best trading day. But in terms of Fridays, these tend to be these very special days, man, especially with the stocks having their 0-day options expiring. So I'm telling you, if you want to get in on a historical day to be trading within the markets, I'm going to be laser fucking focused. I'm going to be watching every fucking stock, and there's going to be new stocks that pop out on the radar. And my focus is going to be calling out a play that goes up 300, 500,000%, man. I'm telling you, in terms of doing that, Friday is the best fucking day to do that. And I already got a couple setups on my radar. So if you're serious about making money and trading alongside with us, it is the first link down below within the description. If you want to learn how to trade, you have to get started, and you start by actually trading. So it's the first thing down below within the description if you want to gain access to our 0-day options trade alert system, if you want to gain access to our amazing community, if you want to gain access to our real-time trade alerts. With that being said, I'm going to be signing off tonight's video. I will see you guys tomorrow within the chat. We're going to absolutely crush the market.